Good morning, y'all, and welcome in to NewOrleans.Football Live. Joining you for our pregame Q&A show presented by Matt Bowers Auto Group. I'm Brett Kirchhoffer. He's Nick Underhill. A little bit of a different scene here from the pregame show. We're just going to do this for the regular season finale and then figure out logistics as far as where we can go live from, because we ran into a bit of a music copyright issue with YouTube.
YouTube's tripping a little bit. They hit us a few times for having music in the background, like we're trying to play like Drake songs and make money off them. We aren't. Like, they're just there, and there's nothing we can do about it. So opens up an opportunity. We're going to do this one here, and then we're going to figure it out. Next year, maybe we'll be on site, throw some tailgates. I don't know. We're going to figure something out. Maybe if you're a sponsor, you want to sponsor a tailgate or something, maybe we'll get your brand in there. I don't know. We're open to anything. We're going to figure it out next year, but we're going to come back bigger and better after this minor setback, because that's just what we do.
Hey, it opens the door for really exciting opportunities, like being out at the Dome, maybe in Champion Square, being able to meet you guys, maybe having a live set. We are thinking about all those things, but one thing you're still going to get is this field access. We got Brandon that is in the Superdome right now. He is going to be monitoring the field and letting us know who's on the field. Where does everybody look like today? Specifically, Alvin Kamara. How's that ankle injury doing? We're going to get into all of that in today's show. And Nick, before we start breaking down Falcons at Saints in this regular season finale, let's get to that news about Alvin Kamara.
Well, I mean, he's going to be a game time decision. He's going to go out there and try to test it out. I think it's probably trending toward the wrong way for him to play, but he's going to get to the stadium, find out if he can play, and then go from there. But I'm not optimistic currently right now based on what we heard throughout the week about him playing, but the door is still slightly open to kind of see what happens.
It's a huge blow when you don't have Alvin Kamara up and active for a team. I mean, they game plan for him, and because they are truly making it a game time decision with Alvin, we didn't really see like a Taysom Hill or a Lindbaum Jr. working with the running backs this week in practice, which to me was a bit surprising. They also didn't expect Kendre Miller to come down with the flu on Friday, which could also prevent him from playing today. We have seen players get sick on a Friday, not practice, and still play Sunday, but Kendre Miller is a little bit of a unique situation because he has not played in a very, very long time. He is coming back from injury. Do you expect to see him on the field?
I'm more optimistic about Kendre. I think Jordan Mims coming up tells us that one of them's probably going to be down. And I think just being sick on Friday, we've seen everybody come back from that throughout the week. We do have Brandon out at the field. So like if Alvin does anything pregame, we'll have all that footage too. Yeah. So, and that should happen fairly soon, because that's a decision that would have to happen early in the game. And as we can see, it's usually right there in that corner where guys are working through stuff. If they're a game time decision, we don't see anybody out there on the field yet. It might be a little bit too early still, but yeah, that's something that we're...
He's a guy who has played for many teams, knows very many systems, has worked with mobile quarterbacks, non-mobile quarterbacks. He's your best bet at right tackle. The fact that the Saints have figured out a way to get this guy on the roster and keep him around is the biggest bonus into kind of hiding him away from other teams. And that too, keeping him off the practice squad and not letting teams pluck him out like we saw with JPP. Outside of Landon Young, Lenny Johnson is also ruled out questionable today. Juwan Johnson, he's still dealing with, he said it's shoulder connected to chest injury. So it was a shoulder injury that he injured against the Tampa Bay Bucks last Sunday on the road. Alvin Kamara, as we know, is still questionable to play. Colin Saunders is questionable to play with a concussion. Kendre Miller, A.T. Perry, and J.T. Gray. Man, if there's a scenario where Juwan Johnson, Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller, and A.T. Perry are not playing in this game, man, this really quickly becomes the Taysom Hill game, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to find a way, one way or another, to move the ball. I mean, look, if Alvin doesn't play, I think it even leans more towards that a little bit. You got to find a way to get a run game going. And you know what's crazy? I was looking, like, Jamal Williams doesn't have a touchdown this season. He had 17 last year, 0 touchdowns. I mean, that might be the biggest miss signing of the offseason. But if there were a time for him to change that narrative, today would be a good time. I have zero faith in that actually happening. So yeah, I mean, and it's interesting. You go right there too. Like, this has to be the Taysom game. I feel the same way, because I just don't feel like there's any confidence at all in Jamal Williams right now and his ability to kind of be like the lead back in a game. But this would be a great time for him to earn his, $4 million per season.
And Ryan brings up a good question in the live chat. Remember, guys, I'm paying attention to this. So throw your questions in there. We'll get to answer them on the public stream, which is about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we'll move over to the members only, where we will answer the members' questions that they put into an article that is on our website. So if you haven't gotten your question in for the members only, you still have time to do that, and we will answer them. All right, Ryan asked, do you guys think Peyton Turner and Kendre Miller playing and getting significant snaps will be more of a hindrance than helpful, just because they are so rusty and coming off long injuries? I want to start with Peyton Turner. So he will play today, came off IR. he's somebody who is so hungry to get onto the field. I think more so with Peyton Turner, it's a benefit, and maybe with Kendra, it could be a hindrance just because it's so different in the run game and then coming off the edge. I think Peyton Turner could actually use this to his advantage and really get after Taylor Heineke, who we expect to see starting for the Falcons.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that a little bit too, but like it's maybe from a different angle as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like if Peyton Turner goes out there and he's rusty and he's not producing, it doesn't blow up a whole entire play necessarily. It could in a run play, I suppose, but like if he's rushing the passer and he's rusty and he's not getting off, like, okay, like there's 3 other guys out there that can rush the passer on the same play. Like if Kendre's rusty, doesn't know what hole to hit, like if he's moving slow, you're losing yards. Like it's actively hurting the team. So it's yeah, I mean I agree though a little bit for sure, but if they're a hindrance, I think you just kind of get them out of there too. Like I don't think you keep going back to them. So I think it's huge though for Peyton Turner to play. Like you kind of need to see him. I think it's huge for Kendre Miller to play because you kind of need to see him. I think both these guys could benefit a lot from having a little bit of confidence going into the offseason. So I think it's a good thing if they get out on the field today.
I think it's not just important for us to see Peyton Turner. It's important for Peyton Turner to prove that he is a viable option for this team. And if he's not, he's in deep trouble because, like you mentioned, he doesn't have a whole lot of film on him. If he were to get dropped, because his contract is up this year, I believe, or he has 1 year or 2 years left.
One more left. Yeah.
One more left, but he just is a guy that you expected so much, kind of like you did with Marcus Davenport, and it just hasn't worked out. Another guy who is not going to be a full go, even though they said he was a full go on Friday in practice, is Chris Olave. What's going on with the ankle injury that he is still dealing with? And it sounds like some cortisone shots are going to be used pretty heavily today for the Saints.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, yeah, he's fighting it. And I think we saw it in practice this week. He looked a little bit more, on Thursday, he looked more limited to me than he had other Thursdays. It's just kind of is where it is. I think it's something he's going to be dealing with if they continue to play, but he's going to keep doing everything he can to play, to be on the field. It's extremely important to him for the team to have success, and he's willing to fight through it. So I think that's something that, needs to be highlighted because he kind of had a weird, rough, adverse start to the season, and that kind of just shows like extreme buy into the program. So if there was any question about that, his actions right now show you everything you need to know about him.
Does Jamal Williams' limited production have anything to do with the way this offensive line schemes up the run game?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it does. I mean, they haven't blocked well enough. I think it's double-sided, though. I just think he's been very average underwhelming. Yeah, below average.
Potentially below average,
Yeah, I mean, he's averaging 2.9 yards per carry, which is a very tough place to be. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything. It's just the perfect storm of a guy that I think needs everything to be right to be great. And I think if you have everything right, he's going to be great. He was never going to have 17 touchdowns. And I was just looking at our over-unders from before the season last night, and we had 10, and like we all took the under. And by the way, if you go through them, you got everyone right but one. If Pete Werner finishes under 95 tackles, you got all of them right except for one, which is crazy.
Let's go.
Yeah. So I mean, shout out to you on that.
I couldn't believe surprise on a Sunday.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Like me and Mike are like going through with that. Everyone, you're like over, under, over, under. It's just like, damn, she got every single one.
Well, y'all killed me on the Saints game. What did we call it? Heads up? Or Saints,
the heads up. Yeah.
That's coming back this offseason. We're bringing it back. That was so much fun.
You smoked us on the over-unders, though. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, shout out to you on those. But, yeah, we said 10. We all took the under. We kind of thought, like, maybe 8 was a better number. Zero.
It's been very surprising because he led the NFL in touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he would have had a better year staying in Detroit, but it seemed like that relationship had just been completely severed. And we've heard that from Jamal many a times. And I'll keep what he said to me off the record before the Lions game, but this was a guy that was not like, it wasn't a, oh, hey, I remember guys that I played with. It was more of a, we need to beat these guys.
Yeah.
In my words, that was not his words. All right, moving into this next question. Chemo Slice asked, do you guys see an uptick in opportunities with Jimmy Graham? This finale kind of was non-existent last week. If Jimmy Graham scores a touchdown and does not dunk, I mean, that's just like the biggest miss and whiff of the season if we don't get this in the rivalry game. Falcons at Saints, season's on the line. If I'm Mickey Loomis, I'm like, dude, I'll eat the fine. Just dunk on the goalpost, but don't bend it so that we can finish this game.
Yeah. Over under 1 touchdown. Let's go. That's your
one
thing.
Touchdown. I'm giving him 1.
Yeah. So you're pushing on it. Yeah. I mean, I think he'll be used the same way that we've seen him the whole year. They aren't gonna like suddenly be like, oh,
they might have to if Jawan's out. Which we don't.
Gonna play.
Jawan's likely going to play, but depending on they know more than we do as far as how limiting his shoulder injury is. But if it is more limiting and he does play, I would expect to see an uptick for Jimmy Graham. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I'm checking it. Sorry, I'm just checking.
No, you're good. Moving on. Will Jimmy be a red zone threat today? If Juwan isn't healthy, I would expect him to get a target or two deep in the red zone. That's from Paul.
I mean, same role that we've seen kind of all along. I think he's going to be like a sporadic red zone threat. I mean, I just don't think we're going to see anything different today. I think it's going to just kind of be, and if anything, if it's anything, I heard Juwan was going to play. I'm pretty sure he's going to play today. So like, I think Juwan's going to play the good game last week. If anything, I think that just reinforces like Jimmy staying in the role, the very, very limited, specific role that he's been in throughout the season.
All right. Mal asks, if the Saints lose this game, do you think Mickey Loomis will change his mind and fire Dennis Allen? No. Not. I mean, it could be an embarrassing loss, and I still don't think they're going to fire Dennis Allen.
Not a chance.
He's sticking around.
Yeah. I mean, it would have to be like insanely bad. Yeah. Like just complete, like, we aren't playing types, no way. I just
and you know what's crazy? I almost like want to whisper it because I don't want to put it out into the world. But if Pete Carmichael has a good game,
I don't know. I think that one, I was so
just
wrong last year.
Knowing this front office, I'm like, come on.
Like, I was so wrong
maybe
last
keep
year.
him as like somebody, like if you want to keep Pete Carmichael around, maybe put him in a different role, but you need a new OC.
Like
this offense needs it.
I think going into the finale last year, like I said something like probably a direct quote, like egregious malpractice if he returns. And like he returns. So I thought there was no way they were bringing him back. And then they did. And again, I've said this before, like they made calls. They tried to replace him. There were 16 OCs hired last year in the league. They tried to get somebody. They couldn't necessarily move up the way they wanted to move up. So they came back to Carmichael. And then the year before, they tried to get the guy that the Rams ultimately hired, and then they went back to Carmichael because they couldn't get this specific guy they wanted. So they didn't want to make change just to make change. They looked at it. So I would be shocked if they don't explore their options again. I just kind of feel like, and it would almost be scapegoating a little bit because it kind of feels like everybody's been bad. And it's just like, well, this is the guy that has to go, but like somebody has to go. So yeah, I mean, I feel like they just kind of have to do it because you got to sell something different.
And that gets to this perfect question from Granger. Do you guys think the Saints can attract any good free agents next season, seeing how the organization is tail spinning? But if they don't make any changes with the coaching staff, and we know that Dennis Allen's not going anywhere, but I'm talking about the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, why would any good free agents want to come here on offense?
Money. I mean, look, it depends on the options and everything. Money's always a big deciding factor. I think tail spinning is a very extreme phrase. They're a 500 team right now. I mean, most of the league is 500. We just watched, if they win, they're above 500. Like, it's not tail spinning. They're average right now. I mean, we just watched Houston, go from bottom to the top. I mean, I feel like the narrative is just kind of a little bit crazy locally because everybody's been eating, 24 karat gold steaks for a long time with Drew Brees, and now there's no gold in those steaks. So it's just like a regular steak. And that's kind of what the Saints are right now. Is they're a regular steak. They're average.
Yeah.
Tail spinning is way too strong for me. But yeah, if you're willing to pay guys, but look where they're at now, you aren't getting people that are chasing rings. You aren't getting guys that are like, well, I'm going to take less here because I want a chance to win. Like, you have to pay guys market value now to come here. And I think that's going to be the hardest thing for the Saints because Mickey always likes to get like stuff at a discount. He's like, I'm setting my price. I'm not budging. I'm not negotiating beyond what I think is right. And you used to win those negotiations. You aren't going to win them now. So like, I think that philosophy has to change a little bit. But if you decide you need a left tackle and now you got to outpay everybody to get them. And that's where you're at as an organization now. But it's not like to the point where it's, I'm going to go there and this is absolute hell. Like they're a 500 team that if a couple things go right, you're above 500. A couple things go wrong, then you're nearing the tails.
Yeah. All right. We're going to answer one last question and then we're going to move on to the private stream. So if you're not on the private stream, let me help you out. If you're a member, go to NewOrleans.Football right now and you will see the very top article. Click into that. And then on the bottom right, I believe at the top, it says go to YouTube. You can click into YouTube there and can continue asking us questions. All right. Last one. Will John Gruden replace Pete Carmichael?
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
How high are they on John Gruden potentially replacing him?
I think if you could get John Gruden's the OC.
Okay.
Like it'd be insane not to. It would be crazy not to. There's nobody that you're going to get that's better in the quarterback you have almost needs John Gruden. And you have $150 million invested into him. Like if you can get the guy that can drive that car, like you got to get the guy that can and that was unintended. But like, if you can get the guy that can push Carr to those heights, like you got to go get him.
Yeah. All right. Let's move over to the members only pregame Q&A show presented